Okay. So thank you very much for those of you who have joined virtually. Really appreciate you spending your Friday evening with Hui and myself. So this is a series of classes which we have been holding, and the theme is really around meditation, around mindfulness, around how do you go about relaxing your mind, your body, and thereby connecting with your soul, and also connecting your soul to the super soul or to the universe, right? Some of these may sound a little bit abstract, but as you attend more and more of the classes, you will realize that, wow, it's all making sense, right? So the way we do our classes is like, we will continue with the discussions, we will continue with the slides, and in the event that you have a question, um, we can keep the questions till the end of the class. But if it's something which is really pressing, and I would request Hui to then moderate the question, maybe receive the question, and then I'll try to answer it immediately. Okay, so that's how we'll do it. So Hui, I will make you um, the co-host. Okay, all right. So today's theme is around how do we go about overcoming negative emotions, especially fear, right? Um, all of us have some fear. It's hard to find someone who is fearless. There's always some fear. I'm fearful that I might be late for my exam. I'm fearful that, the traffic is going to be really bad today. I'm fearful that, I may lose my job. I'm fearful that I might lose or miss my flight, right? So that fear is it's an pertinent issue in nearly all our lives, right? It's important for us to reflect on this point, whether is it really necessary to have this fear, right? And the second pertinent question would be, how do you go about overcoming this fear, right? Just like stress, a little bit stress, a little bit of a stress is all right, right? It keeps you moving, right? The wheels moving. But if it's too much of a stress, then it can bring about some detrimental effects on our mental consciousness, our mind, as well as our health. Okay. So today we will look at how do we go about overcoming stress. But before that, it's important for us to also understand, um, just a minute, overcome fear. And it's also important for us to understand what is fear all about. Okay. Right. So essentially, fear is a very powerful emotion that can hold us back from achieving our goals, right? And living a fulfilling life. So in this presentation, we will look at strategies for overcoming fear and for taking control of our lives. So what is fear, right? It's a very, very unpleasant emotion, and it can be caused by the threat of danger, pain, harm, or the unknown, right? And our body makeup is such that, you know, the brain or the mind has fear circuits which can process this acute fear in response to the threats, right? So if you see someone running towards you with a knife, right, the brain will immediately tell you, okay, this is what you need to do, right? Your heart will start pumping very, very fast, and then different parts of the brain are activated, and thereby our body will also respond accordingly. So essentially, when the brain detects threat, it activates the fear circuitry, which will then cause the heart to race, help the body respond quickly. And the fear system also stores emotional memories, which means that, when we were young, if we do a mistake, if you see your mom coming towards you or mom screaming towards you, the next action which she would indulge in would be a few slaps, right? I remember my early days. Oh, wonderful discipline, right? So immediately, what do? You run or you take cover, right? So all of these mechanisms of escaping fear, escaping the threat, they are all well ingrained in our mind, right? So like a reflex action, it goes back and looks at, okay, don't have to think, it just goes back to the right sections of the brain, and then receives the right next call of action, right? It could be in the form of running away or taking cover, etc. Okay, so this is like automatic reflex, right, in response to the fear. Let me see. uh, okay, so the enemy is fear, but we think it's hate. Just ponder on this. I hate being late. I hate being scolded. I hate going there. I hate him. I hate school. Actually, it is, I fear school. I fear this person. I fear going there. Right? That's the fear which is actually causing this hatred. But the cause, the real cause, is actually the fear element. Okay, everyone following? Any questions so far? Good. So fear makes it hard for us to trust a particular scenario, trust a particular person, trust an organization, etc. Right? So that's that fear, that deep fear within our hearts. Let's look at this particular video. Okay, so it just goes on and on and on, right? So some aspects of fear in our modern life, right? So you can see from that video, it's not that they hated that particular glass floor. It is just that they feared the height, right? So what are some of the examples of fear? Fear of failure, fear of losing my job, fear of getting a bad grade, fear of, having a lousy spouse, or fear of parents not, showing enough concern for us. Another form could be fear of rejection, criticism, right? When our needs are not complied with, right? Or our needs are not met, right? Or, you know, um, h- how our friends, um, our employers, how all of them, even society at large, how do they actually see us, right? Fear of difference, right? I don't want to be different from the rest of my friends. I don't want to stand out like a sore thumb, right? And then fear of the unknown. We are worrying about the future, anxiety, depressions, phobia, etc. So if you look at these 4 points, you will realize that actually all of these 4 points are somehow related to being attached to the bodily concept of life, being attached to the material elements of life, right? It's important. We live in a society right? It's important for us to, you know, somehow be able to um, reconnect back to elements which are associated with our body, right? Elements which are associated with the material. But as time goes on, right? As time goes on, you'll realize that actually, is it necessary for us to, you know, really be attached to this bodily concept? Okay. So what do I mean by that? In the next few slides, I will actually explain. Right. So just some group exercise over here. Right. So if I ask myself, what do I have right now, which I feel I might lose? Right? If I ask myself, what do I have? What are my deep fears? Will I lose it in course of time? Right? Do I have control of everything in life? What is mine? What is not mine? When I came into this material world, or when I was born on earth, what did I come with? Right? And when I leave this material world, what do I go with? These are deep philosophical questions. And the answer is very simple. I came with nothing and I'll go with nothing. Along the way, right? I will keep on accumulating. And then towards the later part of my life, I'll realize that it's important for me to simplify my life and I'll start giving up, right? If I don't give up naturally, all of this will be taken away from me at the time of death, right? So, what are my deepest fear? So, for example, for me, my deepest fear is my health. I worry, you know, yeah, sometimes when I overeat, I've got chest pains, I've got this, I've got that, I feel a little giddy, right? A little bit of a vertigo, etc. So, that's my worry. But just worrying, is it going to bring me anywhere? No, I need to do something about it, right? So let's move on. So we spoke about fear, different sources of fear. Most of the time, we are attached to the bodily concept of life, and that could be one of the reasons why we are fearful. But then, how can we become fearless? There's some deep philosophy, both in Hinduism, in Christianity, as well as in Buddhism, which explains this. And I'll be going very slowly into these concepts. But before that, it's important for us to realize that, whatever we are fear of losing, right? Be it health, be it, family, friends, etc. They have always been in some way temporary in our life, right? They come, they go. Money will come, money will go, right? Technology, sometimes we overinvest in technology and we realize in the workplace that, oh, there is, newer technology. Moore's law explains that, every 6 months or so, the chips become, you know, logarithmically smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So technology is leapfrogging, right? Maybe because of Gen AI, we are also fearful of our jobs, etc., right? So like this, you know, our fear is because of taking shelter in the material, right? But all of this material shelter actually is an illusion because whatever it is, it's going to be taken away from us. Right? I may invest in the biggest bungalow in Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew had an amazing bungalow in Killiney Road. Everything was taken away. Yesterday, I was actually driving past in Killiney Road. And I realized that even the security guards are no longer there, right? So when we, you know, when we start seeing things from a broader perspective, when we start putting ourselves outside of this material frame, or reframe our problem, reframe our point of view, reframe our current existence, then we will begin to see things differently. Okay. So until now in this presentation, we were just looking at taking solace of material shelters. I was once on a flight, right? And, I was flying into Bangalore, and the plane was like nicely cruising and getting closer and closer to the airport. As we were getting towards the airport, the plane came down very nicely. And as it was about to land, it immediately flew up again, right? And then the pilot made an announcement. There was a mistake by the air traffic controller. We were not supposed to land yet. He gave us a wrong instruction. There was another flight coming. All right. And we were asked to immediately lift off again. So that really created havoc in the flight. People were screaming. People were really nervous because there was a gradual change in pressure and suddenly an increase in pressure, air pressure. People were afraid. So while all of this was going on, right, um, we saw this girl sitting next to us, and she was so cool. She kept on reading her book, kept on reading her storybook, right? And then finally, after the pilot had landed safely, we asked her. Everyone was so nervous. People were screaming, etc. But you were so cool. You were so relaxed. And you came alone. Even your mom is not here. How is it that you are so cool? You were just so focused on the book. And she said, it's because the pilot is my father, right? My father has my best interest at heart. So what have I got to worry about? I'll take a pause here. Hui, is it making sense? Yeah. We have Ravindra here. Hi, Ravindra.
Hello, hello.
Hi, 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 hi.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it making sense?
Yes, it's making sense.
Right. So this girl was, taking solace not, I mean, she was taking solace in her father, right? She knew that her father had the best interests. What if we take solace not in the material, not in the wealth which we have, or the wealth which we are proud of, or the wealth which we fear we will lose one day, the relatives we will lose one day, the property which we will lose one day? What if we take solace and shelter on a higher force, right? People may call this higher force the universe or God, right? Or Buddha or Allah or Krishna. What if we take solace in this Supreme Father who has always taken care of us and who have always had the best interests of us? It's just that sometimes we don't realize this. We begin to ask ourselves, why is this bad thing happening to me? Right? I've always been good. But there's always a bigger reason. For some of you who have actually come for our classes, you know what the reason is, right? As time goes by, we'll realize that actually whatever happens for a good reason. We may not see it today, but as we broaden ourselves, as we broaden our view, as we come out of this frame, then we'll begin to realize that, wow, actually, although I had all those difficulties in a particular point in my life, uh, actually it works out well, right? It works out well. So my own personal story, I was 16 years old when my father was 55 and he had gone to India for a holiday, right? He had just retired from the Malaysian Railways and he went over to India for a holiday. When I left him at the airport with my mother, somehow I had this premonition that, maybe he will not come back. And true enough, 2 weeks later, I received a phone call that he had just passed on. And, the religious practices in India are such that they needed to cremate him within the next 6 hours. And therefore, none of my, three brothers and two sisters could actually go to India to actually see him for the last time. So I lost my dad at a very, very young age. And I was like so angry with the universe. I was so angry with, whatever was actually happening to me. Uh, it was really a turmoil, right? We didn't have a house. We were renting a house. We were doing, I started teaching tuition, to sustain my university education after that. So it was quite a tough time. But today, when I look at these episodes, I realize that, wow, actually, these episodes had given me so much of resilience in life. You know, it just gave me so much of courage to actually face difficulties, right? So there's always a side story to any episode. It's important for us to just patiently wait for this side story to appear, right? While we are in a particular difficult situation, we can't see it. Once again, it's going to be like a cliche. We need to come out from this frame, then we will be able to see it. It's just like two twins in the mother's womb, right? The two twins are talking. I don't believe there's anyone else in this world. It's just you and me, right? And the other twin is saying, no, 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 no. There's mommy, there's daddy, there are people outside. I can hear the sound, etc. Right? And then when the two twins were born, then they realized that, yeah, actually, there's a bigger world outside of this mother's womb. So we need to bring ourselves out of that frame in order to appreciate that there's something better coming by. I'll take a pause here to see if any of you have a reflection. There's a chat which just came in. Let me see. Okay, all right. Okay, so there are four key elements which we can take note of as we navigate from a position of fear to fearlessness. The first one is accepting, right? Accepting that, yes, this is a difficulty I'm going through, right? But more importantly, what can I learn from this, right? Number two is the power of goals. We need to set up goals such that we are so focused on our particular mission in life. So all these difficulties which may come along our way will not steer us away from this particular mission or purpose in life. Right? That's the meaning of the power of goals. The power of introspection is where we begin to ask ourselves, this particular incident happened in our lives, right? What can I learn from this? Why am I so fearful of this particular episode happening, right? Even if it happens, so what, right? Others have navigated this complexity. And then finally, the power of moving forward, right? Even when, whatever we are fearful of, even if that happens, life still needs to move on, right? So now let's start with power of acceptance. Okay. So this is an amazing, you know, uh, saying, right? So God grant me that serenity or that peace to accept things which I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay. So it's important for us to know what can we influence and bring about a change with, and what, we are just unnecessarily worrying about, right? So that's the power of acceptance. If you can do something about it, then why worry? If you can't do something about it, then why worry? Does it make sense, Poha and CK?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry.
agree.
Yeah. If we worry about something, but at the
Yes,
same
yeah.
time we know that, if I work hard, if I, ensure that everything is nicely done up, I will be able to circumvent this particular situation. So then why you worry? Just give the best. In the event that you know that nothing can be done about this, then why even worry? Right? So that's the power of acceptance. So, and the acceptance is also about understanding, right? That how do we go about processing these fears, right? We cannot, if that fear is in us, it's important for us to first and foremost acknowledge it. The problem is it becomes a unconscious manifestation. Oh, I'm just so worried lah. I'm just so worried. It's just an unconscious manifestation in our mind. But we need to ask ourselves, yeah, you're worried about what? What can you do about this? What can you not do about this? All right. So the problem with not recognizing it and acknowledging it is they start running your life. For everything, then we'll become worried. We will become very, very fearful. Okay. So if you cannot remember the bulk of the presentation, just remember the first point. Acknowledge, right? Acknowledge that this thing is disturbing you, that you have a fear. First and foremost, acknowledge it. Okay. Next. So denying our fear is really unhealthy. It's like, tucking it under the rug. We need to acknowledge that they exist, and also while acknowledging it, know that this is a temporary thing, right? I acknowledge it, I recognize it's temporary, right? Just like the rising sun indicates that the night has finished at some point. And therefore, our troubling experiences will also end in the due course of time, right? So just think of, take a pause here and let's think of one particular episode which we went through, right? A really difficult episode which we went through. And then fast forward to today. Ask yourself, how did you navigate that particular challenge or that particular low point in your life and reach where you are today? If we keep on reflecting back, then we will tell ourselves that even if tomorrow I have a challenge, in time to come, right? Just like the rising sun indicates that the night will finish at some point, this particular problem will also fade off. Okay. But the most important point is we need to recognize, okay, and acknowledge that this is something which is disturbing me and then do something about it. So, acceptance can also be seen from another angle. Okay. So, fear arises from the gap between our desires and the perceived threats to the fulfillment of this desire. Okay. I fear I will not get an A1 in my physics exam because we have that desire of wanting an A1. At the same time, maybe we are not realistic about our capabilities. We are not realistic that there are other factors which will finally decide whether we get an A1 or not. It could be the difficulty of the paper, right? It could be that maybe my calculator doesn't work on that day. There are so many other reasons why I may not get it. So it's important for us to somehow set our expectations that I give my very, very best. I do not want to regret that I did not give my very best. All right. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's also explained that don't be attached to the results. You just give the best of your ability, but do not be attached to the results and do not be attached to not doing your responsibility. Okay. So the first point is when you see it from another angle, this is my desires. All right. And I fear that I may not be able to fulfill my desire. This is something which I want really badly. And if I'm not able to fulfill that, I, you know, it will upset me, etc. And therefore, the fear is there that I will not be able to reach my desired state. So we need to reframe it by telling ourselves that no, it is not about the result. It is about whether I've given my very best. Did I leave any stones unturned? Okay. So this is really a paradigm shift when, the Bhagavad Gita was introduced to the Westerners. For them, reincarnation, etc., okay, they have already heard, from Buddhism, etc. But when the Bhagavad Gita was actually brought to their view, they felt that, wow, this was a paradigm shift in stress management. The paradigm shift in stress and management is knowing that I have no control on the final results. There are so many other elements which will finally dictate whether there is success, failure, etc. All I have control of is whether I'm putting enough effort in it. Okay. CK, is it making sense?
Mm, yes.
Actually, it's like coming back to our children, right? They are worried about their exams, results, etc. What do you tell them?
I have been through that before.
Yeah, you tell them you have given your best, right? There's
Yeah,
so many other elements,
yeah.
right? In our classes, we also learn that one very important element is our karma. What good deeds have we done which entitles us to whatever we want? What good activities did we engage in which gives us that entitlement to enjoy whatever we are desiring, right? Is there anything I can control about it now? No. Whatever has passed has passed. My karma is actually based on my past activities. But by this process of mindfulness, by this process of orchestrating my life right now, then I am actually forming the karma for the future. Okay.
But
Yes.
my children won't accept this kind of explanation.
Okay.
Yeah, because they are not in this his area of knowledge yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
yeah, it's I understand what you're saying. It takes time also, right? When we
Mm.
were younger, we never accepted this so easily too. But as
Yes.
time goes by, we will realize that, wow, why is it, I have a colleague, the guy doesn't do anything much and he gets all that promotion. I am doing everything I can in this world. I'm orchestrating all the resources and I've been in the same role for the last 11 years. That's
Mhm.
where we will begin to ask,
Mm.
why is this guy having that luck and I don't have that luck? I don't
Okay.
know.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you're quoting our own example for them to see first,
yeah,
yeah, instead of telling them, yeah.
yeah. Why is it that um, um, this particular student studied so hard? Every day she's doing so much of homework, etc., but she's still not able to crack that A star. Another person, you know, yeah, so lazy every day doing, playing outside video games, etc. But when it comes to the exam, this person still gets A star. There is a reason for it. It cannot be just intelligence. What is the
That
reason for that intelligence? Yes. What is the reason for that intelligence?
that this thing happened to my wife.
Oh, okay.
She is the one that is playful.
Okay.
Her own niece is very hardworking. The
uh,
same thing happened.
okay. Okay. All right. So the second point is the power of goals, right? For us, we need to remember that there will be many, many, many distractions coming our way, right? What is the most important job to be done? All right, this is from a concept from the Harvard Business Review. What is my job to be done? What is my final purpose? What is the outcome of outcome which I want to achieve? All right. Once you are very crystal clear about what's the job to be done, what's the outcome of outcome that I want to achieve, all these minor problems which will come in, all these fearful issues which come in are just small little considerations. The small issues that would generally annoy us can easily be dismissed when we have a higher goal, right? So, example, you're driving from Woodlands to the airport. If someone just comes and cut you off while you are rushing, from Jurong to Changi Airport for your flight, what do you do? Do you run after that guy and whack him up, etc.? No, you just keep going, right? Because you have a bigger issue at hand. You just keep on going. These are all minor distractions which will come in our life. So then you begin to ask yourself, so what should be the final job to be done? What should be the outcome of outcome? That is where spirituality comes in, right? That's where spirituality comes in, right? And that brings me a nice segue into the power of introspection. If you have been coming for the classes like Poha and Raghavendra and Hui, you will understand that actually I'm just a spirit spark. I'm just a spirit soul. All right. I'm not the body. nor am I the mind, nor am I the intelligence, nor am I the false ego, but I'm just a spiritual spark. The body is just an extra, is just an external layer, right? But deep inside my core, I'm just a spiritual spark, all right? And this spiritual spark has always been around even before I was born in this particular body. After I leave this particular body, the spirit soul is still there. The scriptures explain that this spirit soul can never be cut, can never be moistened, can never be divided. There was never a time when the spirit soul did not exist, and there will never be a time when the spirit soul will not or will cease to exist. So we are this spirit soul. It's never changing. This life, I'm a human, you know. Maybe my karma is such that I'm such a lazy person this life, I'm just eating and sleeping and eating and sleeping. When I die, my spirit soul may go into another body. It could be, maybe a pig, because the pig likes to relax, right? Sleep, right? Or it could be a bear, right? Or maybe, I just love eating meat, right? I just love eating meat. And then, based on my karma in my next life, yeah, I may become like a vulture or a tiger or any of those carnivorous animals, because the universe will give me a body which will allow me to enjoy what I was doing before, right? So once again, at the core, we are a spirit soul, and this does not change at all. The spirit soul is so tiny, but the spirit soul is giving the consciousness to the body. At the time of death, this spiritual consciousness, this spiritual soul moves and waits for another body. Okay. So, one of the greatest spiritual masters, the greatest gurus of our time, he explains that Bayam means in Sanskrit, Bayam means fear, and Abhayam means fearlessness. So long as we are in this body, this material body, we are always worried. What will happen? What will happen? What will happen? But because I know that I'm eternal, right? I know that this body is just temporary, right? Once I know that I'm actually eternal, I'm a spirit soul, then there is a chance for us to come out from this frame that this is going to happen. I'm going to be fearful, right? This body may collapse one day. I may have a heart attack. I may have this, that, right? So because I'm identifying with the body, therefore there is fearfulness. Because I'm identifying with the material elements, therefore there is fearfulness. But if by knowledge I can understand that I'm not this body, I'm just a spirit soul. And if you are really convinced, then there is a chance that there will be no fearfulness. Okay. And finally, the power of moving forward, right? Stop meditating on, these fears. Where attention goes, energy flows. Remember, we discussed this 2 weeks ago, right? If we keep on thinking about fear, then what's going to happen? The entire energy will flow there, right? So don't do that. Don't think about the fears. Think about the possibilities. Don't keep feeding the negative energy. It will just keep on growing, right? So these are some ways in which we can manage the physical symptoms of fear and anxiety, right? Um, Firstly, of course, once again, knowing that this is a temporary body. This particular difficulty, which I'm fearful about, it's just a temporary thing, right? Another way of looking at it is Number one, when we are fearful or where there is anxiety, engage in deep breathing, okay, and progressive muscle relaxation through yoga. So we have Hui over here. She can actually help us with this. Or mindfulness practices like Maha Mantra chanting, etc. All right. First and foremost, we acknowledge that we have that fear, and then, right, we engage in deep breathing, okay, progressive muscle relaxation through yoga, and then we have our mindful practice, right? And then there's also this cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps to identify and challenge the negative thought patterns and replace them with more positive and realistic one, thereby, helping to reduce fear and anxiety. Okay, so don't think of the negative, think of something positive to replace this fear. And then, it's important for us to be with like-minded people. That is the power of association. If you're always next to people who keep on worrying and worrying and worrying, this worry will rub on you and you will also become like them, right? Full of worry. But if you are with positive minded people, if you are with spiritual people, if you are with people who recognize that at the end of the day, all this material will vanish. I am a spirit soul. All right. Why should I even be worried about such things when I know I cannot do something about it, or I can do something about it, and therefore I'll give the very, very best of my ability. But if I don't get that result, it's okay. There are many other elements which actually decide on this. So this is the power of association when we are with like-minded people. Let's watch this particular cartoon. So don't allow the ant eater of negativity to swallow us up. All right. Stay in the tight association of like-minded people. It goes a long way. All right. So we need to take some small steps every day. First and foremost, acknowledge that yes, I have that fear. Next, think about what can I do about it, right? Behavioral cognitive therapy by maybe replacing it with something which is much more positive, setting my expectations, all right, and giving my very best. At the same time, not being attached to the results. Okay. So we need to trust ourselves and also trust others. Secondly, think of, doing something positive for yourself instead of just worrying. Invest, right, in making things better, right? And then, Hui will speak about mantra meditation. Mantra meditation, like any other mindfulness exercise, can actually help us in a big way, right? And don't make promises to improve what which we can't keep. It will only exacerbate. I always struggle with this word. Exacerbate feelings of failure. Okay. And finally, it's important for us to understand that this whole concept of trust, right? It might not be related to this topic, but trust is not built in big sweeping moments, but it can be lost in one moment. Trust is actually built in tiny moments every day. Why do you trust your mom, your dad, etc.? It's because 365 days you have seen small, tiny, 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 tiny moments. All of this build up, build up, build up, build up, build up, right? So trust is actually built in small, tiny moments, right? So for us to also have and not worry about relationships, but to have that trustworthy relationship with others, right? It's important for us to also win the other person's trust. How? Small moments, small episodes will actually strengthen this trust in the other party about yourself. Okay. So, once again, fear of failure, first and foremost, acknowledge it. First step of overcoming the fear is to identify and understand what's the root cause. Right? This can help us develop a plan to address it and move forward. Secondly, shift our mindset. Don't be always thinking of the negative outcome. Don't be attached to the outcome, but tell yourself that I've given my very best, or I'm giving my very, very best. Even if something doesn't happen as I had desired, what can I learn from this particular episode? And thirdly, take action. Overcome the fear of failure requires taking action and stepping out of our comfort zone. Right? This can be achieved through setting achievable goals, taking small steps towards them, and celebrating our progress along the way. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end my presentation and request Hui if there are any questions. Otherwise, she can bring us through some guided meditation.
Anyone has anything to ask? Can you keep the last slide on with the mantra? So anything anyone wants to clarify? You have any further questions? Any topic to discuss? Anyone? So by the way, the recording of this session, it is being recorded. PK will put it on his YouTube channel, but none of your face will be reviewed. He has put a particular setting that it doesn't review any of the speakers' picture at the side of the screen. It's only just his slides and his voice will be shown. So just to let you know. If nobody has questions, let's move on to a little guided meditation where you need to be in a comfortable space, probably sitting down and have an undisturbed space if you could. Once you are ready for a guided meditation, please give me a reaction button, thumbs up, so that I know that you are ready. Find a quiet space that you can be undisturbed for probably 5-10 minutes. Thank you, CK. Thank you, Poha. I see your thumbs up. June, Charlene, Nika, to have a quiet space, space that you can be undisturbed. Give me a thumbs up. You probably need to like silence your phone or tell your family to just give you 10 minutes of quietness. Okay, good. I see all your thumbs up. Thank you very much. So what we're gonna do a little bit of breathing exercise just to declutter our minds, center ourselves, and we will move on to our mantra meditation, where at the very first of this series we introduce this mantra meditation. So for those of you who are new here, mantra meditation basically is kind of sound vibration that we're using from our own vocal cords. When we softly, gently whisper the mantra, it creates a vibration in our own body using our own vocal cords, and that vibration would shift some energy in us. And we are not saying mundane words, we are saying very sacred words from the ancient teaching. So on the screen you will see the mantra. It goes with Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna means the all attractive, like all kinds of quality that we can ever imagine, ever think about. He's the all attractive. He has everything. Hari means the energy or the external potency energy of this entire universe. Like you see the sun, you don't even need to see the sun. You know the sun is there because you can feel the heat of the sun. That's the energy, the heat energy that you feel. And Rama is like the reservoir, the reserves of all pleasures that we can have. When we put these 16 words together, it basically is us asking for a meaning or a purpose or a space, a place for us. Basically, it's just for us to connect with our higher self, with the universe, to come closer to like why we're here, what is basically just to center ourselves and to connect with the higher power. Any questions? If you have no questions, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit back in your chair, lean against your backrest of the chair. We're gonna do a few breathing exercise, followed by doing the mantra meditation where we will chant together at the same pace. Of course, you're always welcome to go at your own pace. You are even welcome to unmute yourself if you like to. We're going to start by just sitting very comfortably against the backrest of the chair. Your glasses, spectacles, if you're wearing them. Softly close your eyes. Sit a little bit taller, send your chest up a little bit more. Take a deep breath in through our nose. Let go with a little sigh. Into our nose. Let it out from your mouth. Breathing in through your nose. Out from your mouth. Let's go 3 more times. Into the nose and a full breath out from your mouth. With each exhale that you take, any thoughts in your mind, let it out. Tightness in your body, breathe. Take a deep breath in. Soften your eyes, soft jaw. To breathe in, allow the belly to expand. Take your time to breathe out completely, shrink your belly. Breathe in, allow the belly to expand. Completely breathe out. Breathe in, pump up into your belly. Keep breathing out. Soften your jaws and your eyes. Start with our mantra meditation. Feel free to go at your own pace or go to at the same pace with me. Let's breathe in. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama